way to connect sensors into Home Assistant. And Home Assistant offers this simple way to interface to it. You don't even need to have an integration on Home Assistant called the HTTP sensor interface. You get binary sensors or analog sensors. And all your little device has to do is do an HTTP post, boom, to the URL, and that's it. Nothing has to happen. That's all that amazing. Home Assistant doesn't even have to have any special software installed because the interface is built into all Home Assistant installs. So I thought, that's pretty cool because I can make something very, very simple. So I thought about maybe designing my own stuff. So I came up with a design for a device. See, here's the deal. I wanted to have all these different sensors. I wanted to have, motion sensors and temperature sensors, water sensors, and certainly, contact closure sensors, which can be anything. Right? I wanted to have all those things, but I don't want to have a custom design for each one. And I don't want to have a custom configuration for each one. If I'm going to write the code, I'm going to write one chunk of code, which is going to work with everything. That way, I've got one footprint to maintain because I'm lazy and I don't want to spend all this time updating software. I want to be able to set this thing up and run it like a toaster. That's what I want to do. So I want to have it work and work and work, and I don't want to have to mess with it. So I came up with a design and a circuit board. This is the board right here. I call it SensorNode. It's got a Raspberry Pi Pico on there. I wanted to have it powered by mains power. I don't want to have it be battery powered because changing battery sucks. Now, if you have something where you need to have, location or it needs to be mobile and you have to have battery power, that's awesome. That's not what my requirement was because these are things that our sensors are going to be sitting around my house. They're not going to be moving and they're just going to be sitting there. So in most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, I could have power routed to them nearby, which means I don't have to change batteries because I can't stand changing batteries. It's if you get into the math of it, you realize if you have 50, 60, 70 sensors, you're changing batteries every week, and I ain't doing that. So anyway, it's a very simple circuit, very simple. It's got a Raspberry Pi Pico. It has some signal conditioning logics, protection diodes. It's got a high-speed latch so that when events come in, they immediately get captured by the latch. And then when the Pico gets around to it, it can process those events. Voltage regulator. It's got I2C. I brought that out, but right now I'm only interfacing, one I2C device, combo temperature humidity sensor. But you can easily connect the sensors, the external sensors right here. It's got a little external LED on there because if you want to put it in a case, you want to have the LED brought out so you can actually see the status. It's got switches on it for on, off. It's got a way to force it in access point mode because you configure this thing from its own wireless access point. You don't have to talk to Home Assistant. Home Assistant doesn't know anything about it. You just turn it on. If it can't get on the network because it's brand new or it doesn't have credentials or the credentials change or whatever, it'll go into access point mode, but you can also force it into access point mode if you want to change some of the settings. And all the settings are handled through the access point webpage. It also has a switch over here for the status lights, either on the Pico itself or this external one, that they can be disabled or enabled. Because sometimes you have this thing in a bedroom and you don't want the lights flashing because it's going to annoy certain people, right? But you want to see the status so you'd be able to turn it on and say, okay, what's going on there? Because the lights will flash at a different frequency depending upon what's going on. So you know what's going on, right? So this is the way it looks. Here's inside its little plastic custom 3D printed case. The LED popping out outside like that. The switches are accessible on either side. External sensor connections here. The thing is designed so it can handle all those different sensors, not all at the same time, but it can report up to 4 sensor readings at once, 2 external and the 2 internal at once into Home Assistant. So it can handle PIR motion detect, external temperature with a long cable, meter, 2, 5, whatever. It's digital, so it can handle a long cable. Water leak detector. And of course, the dry contact, any type of dry contact sensor. So I can use a float sensor for my fountains. I can use a closure sensor for my garage doors. I can use a button so I can actuate things for the push button that happens to be hidden somewhere, like I have underneath my sink. That's what it does. It's very simple because my goal was to make it super simple because I want, once I have the software completed, I don't want to change it. I'm not updating software every week, every Tuesday, like some people do. I want it to just work like a toaster. It is very stable. I've got multiple units, over 20 units running in my house for months, some of them for over a year. It works so well, and it's so easy to use, so I decided to do a Kickstarter to make it available to others who might want it. I'm going to open source the software, so that'll be free, and I'm going to sell the hardware as cheap as I can without going broke, and just put everything out there for anybody who might want one. So I'm going to sell it in kits that range from a bare board with no components on it that you can buy the components yourself and solder it yourself. I'll provide all the information, what parts go where, parts list, where to buy the parts. They're all commodity, very cheap. Or I'll also sell the partially or fully assembled board level design, something like this. Or I'll sell a whole kit and caboodle, all assembled with a power supply, ready to attach sensors and configure. So stay tuned for more videos on this about SensorNode. If you're interested, you can click the link below in the description. It will take you right to the Kickstarter pre-launch page, and you can click on that link there at the pre-launch page to be notified when the Kickstarter launches. Because you won't want to miss the launch date, because I'm going to have some early bird specials which have very limited quantities, because I can't really afford to make these things and send them. I don't have mass production. I don't have a factory. I'm not going to go to China and settle this stuff up. So I'm going to do some at a very, very limited quantity. So you want to be notified for when the Kickstarter launches. I don't know when it's going to launch because we're getting near Christmas, and so the timing kind of sucks. But just click the link and then you'll know. Hopefully there'll be more videos on this. I plan on doing videos on how to use SensorNode, how to set up, showing everything about how it works before the Kickstarter launches, so you'll be able to see it and decide whether you want to get one for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a like and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.